Welcome, everyone, to Beyond Surviving, the safe space for survivors of childhood sexual abuse to receive support, resources, and share their stories. Beyond Surviving is about freedom, healing, connection, and even laughter and fun. Most importantly, it's about letting go of the pain of abuse and finally moving on. I'm Rachel Grant, and for those of you who don't know me, I've been a sexual abuse recovery coach since 2007, and I'm the author of Beyond Surviving, the final stage of recovery from sexual abuse. You can learn more about me and the Beyond Surviving program at rachelgrantcoaching.com. Now, y'all, I could not think of a better person to have here with me to kick off season 10. Can you believe it? Woo woo! Of the Beyond Surviving podcast. This lady person is just the best of the best. And I am so very glad to have LiSára here with us today. Now, I met LiSára, oh my gosh, 6-7 years ago. I've lost track, but we have journeyed together, and I've watched her evolution as a wonderful, amazing human being in this world. And now she's out in the world creating healing using the power of sound, especially sexy sound. Which, you might be like, what is that, Rachel? I don't know. That sounds weird. That sounds very woo. Don't worry about it, y'all. You're going to love it. And be sure to listen to the end, because LiSára is going to be sharing with you a very special sound healing on exploring pleasure in your body, which really just means connecting with your body and feeling safe and comfortable, and that beautiful, vibrant energy that we can have in ourselves. So if you want to know a little bit about this marvelous lady, she is a Forbes featured founder, sound healer, ancestral healer, intuitive vocal channel, songwriter, and musical artist. She hails from a rich ancestry of both medicine women and civil rights educators who worked with Martin Luther King Jr. in the 1960s. She has toured much of the world providing mentorship and healing, and her dynamic, live, multilingual performances have been attended by global audiences as large as 15,000. LiSára founded Sexy Sound Healing, the world's first channeled music tech and self-mastery platform for females with big dreams to decolonize, develop intuition, generate prosperity, and elevate y'all embodied voice through the power of sound, frequency, and resonance. And it gets to be sexy. Why not? If we're doing it, why not do it sexy? I love that. So there are so many ways to follow this amazing human being, and I will be sharing all the links, but just know that you are going to be so blessed and receive so much from our guest today. LiSára, thank you so much for being here, sister. I'm so glad you're here. It's been so just a joy. As I said, like over these years watching you, when I first met you, you were singing and exploring and figuring things out and trying this, trying that. And boy, you've really landed into what seems like you're just like heart-based practice, soul supported work. So I want you to just take a moment to tell people a little more about who you are. What do you want them to know about you?
Oh my God. First of all, thank you. I want everyone to know that I love you.
Thanks.
And as you were sharing, introducing and saying how long ago we met, I was like, mind blown emoji. Like, yes, it's been this many years. And you were one of the people that saw me before I was able to see myself in my truth. And I'm going to try not to get emotional because it's definitely Aunt Flo time. But, I remember this time where I was practicing a performance, and I can't remember you said one sentence. I don't remember the exact words. It was something to the effect of, I'm just waiting to see fill in the blank. I don't know if it was like the one woman show or it was something that directly spoke to my soul, because it was the thing that I knew was there kind of cognitively, but there was just so much built up on top of it, right? And we all know the stuff that gets built up on top of it.
Lord. Yep.
The traumas, the stories. the ideas that's not possible, being surrounded by other people that don't believe anything's possible for themselves or for you by default.
Right.
And so that was such a breakthrough moment. I just immediately remember feeling tears, because tears of truth, and that witnessing that you provided through just simple observation, like, hey, I'm just waiting for the, it's just such a powerful dose of medicine, right? Like, and this is, I love how you said in the intro, that the healing gets to be fun. It can be,
Yes.
it can feel miserable, the ways that people talk about it, blah, blah, blah. We all know. And there can be these lighthearted moments, our bodies release also through laughter, which is why, jokes and comedy is healing for people.
Yeah.
And so these forms of release that the body naturally knows, a lot of ways our minds tell us not to do it, or that it's not really healing. But I just want to invite for you listening, that healing gets to happen in all these forms, that healing gets to be sexy. It can be, I'll say, it can be sexy, it can be joyous, it can be pleasurable. And clearly I am just off the cuff, because that's how I
well, that's how we roll. I know you. It's important.
I'm just the guy that's
yes.
I'm so moved to share a story, actually.
Yeah.
And this happened around International Women's Day a couple years ago. I'll never forget. I was reminded of it recently, an experience that I had with my chiropractor at the time. And she was amazing. She always asked for consent anytime she touched any place, right, to do an adjustment, and was just really beautiful about honoring safety and boundaries. And she asked for consent to do an adjustment on my pubic bone. And as soon as she asked, I was like, oh God.
We're going in. We're going in.
Right. And I had felt during the week, I remember feeling in me like something was, like there was a buildup of something. Like I felt something wanting to release. And so when she asked me that, I was very clear, like, okay, it's whatever is about to happen. it's this. And so she very lovingly guided me through this particular adjustment. And I have such chills, by the way, sharing this. So she like lifted up one of my legs, and we rotated the leg or put it in a circle or something. But it took about 5 seconds. And when she placed my leg back down on the table, my entire body lying on my back went cold and was just shaking. Uncontrollable tears came out, sobbing, like audible sobbing, all of it beyond what I thought I could consciously control, right? It was just happening.
Releasing trauma. Yeah.
Right? The body, exactly. I was just releasing trauma. The body knows what to do, y'all. Like it was just letting it out. And what was so incredible was this woman, this chiropractor, she was my doula through this. And she just like, I mean, I've never given birth, I gotta say. I've never had a physical human out of my body. But doula in the sense that, she was right there with me. She was cheering on my body, like cheering on my body. And like saying good job, and just like making it so supportive, and almost in like a ceremonial celebratory way, and not celebratory like yay we're partying, celebratory of just like, yes, like this is what's happening, this is what's supposed to happen, this is she didn't say this is what's supposed to happen, but the way she just was loving it very and it was just so affirming, for one, of what I was releasing, which I wasn't conscious of until some of it released, and two, normalizing the importance of release, and normalizing the importance of having the immense value of healing and release acknowledged. because so much in this world, people talk about like, oh, self-care. I like
Yes.
that like vibe on it, you know, like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
got a latte, like, ooh.
I'm
It's like
taking such good care of
superficial.
me. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this like little frill thing. Like you can't see me, y'all, but I'm like doing funny gestures with my body. But like this concept where there's a superficiality and then there's the depth that we all know when we go through the process. And I do believe, especially those of you who know me, if you've worked with me before, there's a lightheartedness that I think is important to bring to the deep and to
Oh, yeah.
the dark. And I will specifically say to the shadow.
Yeah.
And that's not the same thing as superficiality.
Not at all. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, I think this is one of the reasons why you and I resonate so well, because we laugh and then we cry and then we talk about something super like dark and scary. And then we're giggling about something, you know, like it's just always that with us. And, you know, and even in my work too, right? Like sometimes people are like, by the end, they're like, I didn't realize I was going to laugh so much. I'm like, hell yeah. Like if we got to go in, like, let's find the moments of levity. Let's find the place where we can like laugh at ourselves, laugh at circumstances and our, you know, silly human ways and these sorts of things. And that opens up something, you know, where like, okay, I can feel a sense of camaraderie, safety, joy, and readiness to tackle the shadow, the thing that's hard, the thing that's scary, the thing that's dark. Yeah, they can sit side by side. Yeah.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I think they're supposed to.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, that yin and yang has been around for a long time, right?
right. Right. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I talk about hashtag normalize the journey. It's like
Mm-hmm.
normalizing our humanity and all of the things being able to coexist, because they do.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. I'm reminded of another story now. When my father, who is still alive for context, my father flatlined in ICU a few years ago. So I literally, for a full 60 seconds, saw my dad dead.
Yeah.
And y'all, I said he's alive, so this is gonna have happy ending, I promise. Craziest 60 seconds of my life.
What a trip, though. Yeah.
It was wild. It was like a Grey's Anatomy episode. All these people rushing into the room. I barely had space to see. I had to hop up on a chair, and I was like looking over my dad, and my sisters and my mom and I were like yelling stuff in hopes that he'd come back. All of this.
Yeah.
But so, you know, when he stabilized the next day, because this dude's a hero, the next freaking day he was extubated. Somehow like talking and
what's up, y'all?
And right, he would tell me why. This dude was like, let's go, like we don't need to be here anymore. I was like, hey dad, you died yesterday. So actually,
oh man,
sit here a little bit longer.
Yeah,
but,
take a minute, you deserve it, you've earned it.
But one of the things that was so powerful to physically witness when he was first extubated was that everything he said, first of all, he has dementia, and it seemed like there was no sign of memory loss for at least the first like 10 minutes after he came back, which is fascinating. Wow. But anyway, his laughter and his crying was so intertwined that I struggled to understand. I was like, is he upset right now? Is he happy right now? And he just was expressing so much like gratitude for everything. At one point, I went to get food, and I came back, and he goes, guess what I'm doing? And I said, what? And he goes, pooping.
Every syllable.
I was like, wait, what? But just this, he died, and then it's like he's laughing, and then there's crying, and then it's like he's telling about his poop. That's not something in our relationship right now.
No, we've not had many conversations over the years.
Like that's life, right?
Like, it
is humanity. It's all
oh my gosh
intertwined. And we're taught to try and control it by compartmentalizing.
Oh my God,
but
right.
All these things are part of it.
Yeah. We're constantly trying to get a grip on things. And like, and then as soon as you get a grip, oh my, there it's going to slip away again. So the
Right.
fluidity, I mean, and for me, this is one of the things that I do love about the experiences of working with sound.
Mhm.
Because for me, it really does feel like being on a river and moving in and out of these places. And even sometimes, like, I get stuck in the weeds and then I'm like unlocked again, and then I move further down, and like I can feel that motion, through my body. And I think that when we're talking about healing, it really has a lot to do with, I like Dan Siegel's visualization about how when we experience trauma, we end up on one bank or the other. We end up on the bank
Mm.
of chaos, or we end up on the bank of rigidity. Sometimes people manage to jump
Right, right.
shores, but when we are in the place of healing and wholeness, then we're in the river. And it's like, let me just flow. Let me just find. And when something gets I get a little over here too close to the shore. Okay, how do I course correct and come back? And yeah, I think that, so we have to have that awareness of life being kind of all of the above. It can't ever be one thing all of the time.
Absolutely. And speaking of sound, I'm like,
Mm,
let's talk about sound, y'all. Um, so the universe is over 99% energy. Energy happens in waves. So I love that you brought, the river forward and water,
mm.
because we can see with oceans, we can see in the water how physical waves, exist in water. And it is the same way with sound, because energy happens in um, in sound, in vibration, in light. And because all energy can show up as a wave or a particle, but it carries this. If you look at a wave, right, there's an oscillation between points. Um, and this is literally the entire universe, the entire world that we're living in, right? And that was over
Yeah.
99% of it. And so, what is so incredible about sound and the massive potential, I think very much untapped potential of how we use sound for healing, is a few things. To understand, one, that sound is something that we hear it and we feel it, because
Mm,
all vibration also carries a sound, whether our human ear can hear it or not, because there are
yeah.
plenty of sounds out of the range of human
Right.
hearing. And so part of this untapped potential is actually understanding that we can use it to navigate any type of energy that we're desiring to access or to be with, to witness in ourselves. And um, another fun fact, uh, for those of you who like fun facts, is that when we were in the womb, our sound, our sense of sound, these sensors in our physical ears to process sound, developed first. Think about it. Your eyes were shut. There was some
Mm-hmm.
fluid, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it is actually, we are better equipped to perceive sound than any other sense. And in
Wow.
part because sound is also something we feel.
Mm-hmm.
So we're used to
Mm-hmm.
perceiving it through our ears, we're used to feeling it. And if you think about any regular song, for example, you are also consciously used to perceiving a feeling, like an
Feelings.
emotional feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when we take these ideas of people knowing that, say, music is powerful, and we apply it to, or really expand it to looking at the full range of scientifically proven frequencies, right? These energy waves, these energetic frequencies of sound, and understanding that with sound healing, the idea is reestablishing harmony in the body mind energetic field in our souls.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we can experience this untapped potential within us, and also, as mentioned, within sound healing, because um, if you are familiar with sound healing, most people know it as something to listen to be, zen,
Mm-hmm.
calm,
Mm-hmm.
meditative.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one way to experience frequencies of sound and how it can establish harmony in your body. But as we've mentioned, through all of these different ways of being in the world, honoring all of our humanity,
Yeah.
#normalize the journey, all parts of our journey. Just like when you're listening to your favorite music, sometimes maybe you want to be calm. Maybe sometimes you want to throw a fit. Maybe
Yeah. Put on some Alanis. Put on some Rage Against the Machine. Yes, that's right. Yes. Yes.
I'm saying,
Mhm.
right? So being able to actually have music with healing frequencies in them for you, no matter what type of experience or energy you're looking to cultivate or be with yourself in, this is where you can explore your greatest potential, right? Because you are energy. Everything is energy. And so sound healing is actually one of the most ancient forms of healing on the planet for this reason. The ancients understood that this was all energy, that there were certain waves, that there were certain brain entrainments that you can create through sound, right? So if you think about a number of ancient cultures where drumming, there's certain type of rhythmic drumming that induces trance states that, and I'll say, instead of saying trance states, maybe I'll say that induces different brainwave patterns to bring you, whether it's to a place of calm, whether it's to deep sleep, an altered state of consciousness, to access something that maybe your normal thinking mind isn't able to access, right? Going deeper in the subconscious and the unconscious.
Yeah.
And so with the full potential of sound healing and what I believe is the gap between both the normal presentation, I will say one-dimensional presentation I see of sound healing online today, and also a gap I see in the music industry, because I'm also a songwriter and musical artist in this industry. The industry is lacking in that 99% of the music you will find has no healing frequencies whatsoever.
Yeah, it's just an 808.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh my goodness, this is so good. Yes.
Oh, sorry. And then on the sound healing side, there's just, which is beautiful. We love calm, obviously, right? We love that meditative experience of peace. And it's often presented in this one-dimensional way that only you have to be a certain type of person even to receive it.
Right.
You don't have to like a meditation to get
some Oh my gosh. You don't even have to be still during a sound healing, right? Like there's all of that stuff too. Like I remember for the longest time, I was like, I'm doing this wrong. I'm doing this wrong. Why is my mind wandering? I'm supposed to be in deep meditation and like and be zenned out and like have no thoughts and just be. I'm so being, but I'm so busy thinking about being that I'm not being. I mean, it was just miserable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of that. Yeah. Well, if you take nothing else away from this, you do not have to sit still and be a meditator to get your sound healing in. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Well, it does not surprise me in the least that you would be the trendsetter, the path blazer of bringing more dimensions, because you are so multidimensional between the work that you've done as a linguist and the world travels that you've had. And you know what really struck me is what you were saying. It reminded me a little bit about I was watching The Woman King recently, and then I've also been really digging this TV show called Reservation Dogs. So The Woman King, I think maybe most people know about it. It's Viola Davis and the story of this African tribe and these warriors. Oh gosh, I'm gonna forget it. I'm so sorry, but the name of their warrior tribe. But anyhow, when they're getting geared up to go out to battle, drums, dance, movement, vocalizing, right? And in Native American culture, which I'm a bit more familiar with from my own ancestry of Native American and growing up in Oklahoma, the drums, the tribe, the circle, and just, like using those different songs and those different beats to actually access different energy And how, like, sometimes we need a little warrior spirit, right? I don't need Zen meditative. I need a different kind of energy. And how can I use sound and music and vocalization, all these sorts of things to help me tap into that? Is that kind of like what you're speaking of? Am I on the...
Oh my goodness, absolutely, absolutely. And I love that you brought through when you mentioned Oklahoma. So I also have a lot of Indigenous American Indian ancestry, and I spent many years when I lived back on the East Coast, performing and singing and dancing in powwows. And there is something about the drum specifically, and I believe it is. The reason is that if you think about being in the womb, the first thing you hear is the heartbeat. And it is that resonating, that boom, boom of the biological surrogate mother, right? That boom, boom. So that is in us, right? And then of course, we develop our own heartbeat, right? And we feel that. And actually so much of our physical body is also a resonator and a vessel. And often people think that when you use your voice, that the sound is coming from your throat, and it is not, right? The sound is a space. Just like if you ever look at a guitar, there's a hole right there. The sound doesn't come from the hole, the sound comes through the hole. And every instrument, I want to like grab my instrument to my studio here. But I think you get the concept, right? Our voice is such a powerful instrument of healing, should we choose it to be, right? We could also use our voice to rip people to shreds.
Be not kind. Sure. Yeah.
But when we use our voice, there is a vibration that happens. There's a resonance that happens. And so we can use our voice as powerful instruments of healing, of release, of claiming and calling in and manifesting, of setting boundaries that not only honor your safety, but make space for you to thrive. And I'm really appreciating that you brought up voice as well, because it is something that we all have access to. We use probably every day. And even if you are quote unquote mute, even if you are part of the signing community because you're deaf, you can still use your voice. And one of the first times I performed my music as LiSára, I actually had somebody, an ASL teacher who I just met because I decided I wanted to learn American Sign Language. He showed up, and I remembered thinking like, oh, is he gonna understand the words? And it was so beautiful because he felt everything.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? Because it's not just hearing, it's also the
feeling. Okay, Jinx. Amazing. Okay. So let's just take a little break, a little pause, because I know y'all are swimming in all of this information and it's plentiful. So we're going to take just a little break. And then when we come back, I want to just keep going, continue exploring this topic. So quick break. We'll be right back. Are you ready to discover the 3 ways to build a strong foundation for healing? If so, I hope you'll join me for this free 6-day Overcome Hopelessness Challenge. This is a fun, creative, encouraging way to start you on your journey recovering from abuse. By participating in this course, you're going to learn 3 ways to build a strong foundation for healing. You're going to even understand why healing is actually possible, while even learning the major trap that will stop you in your tracks, and more importantly, how to avoid it. Go to bit.ly/overcomehopelessness-RGC now to register for this free course and get started on your path to healing. This challenge is perfect for you if you are at your wit's end, feel hopeless or overwhelmed, and worry that you'll never get better. Now, back to our show. Welcome back, everybody. I am here with LiSára, and oh my gosh, I'm so connected into this strong intention you have. It's almost like a little bit of a mission slash vision slash purpose of helping people to understand that, the sound healing is not woo. It's really based on science. We know very much, what you were saying earlier, and that we can have a more layered and a more nuanced experience with sound. It seems to me what you're saying is when we think about like the full spectrum of experience of sound healing, all of them have their little benefits and, whatever. But when we bring in this idea of sexy sound healing, that we get to work more dynamically with ourselves. So let's just keep breaking that down a little bit. Like, so if I'm like thinking about this idea of what makes a sound healing sexy.
Yeah, let's actually break it down with the word itself, sexy.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you heard the word or read it, you probably already had all these ideas, right? Sexy can be a super loaded word, as is anything related to sex or money or these types of topics. And so sexy, and I want you to think about this for yourself, okay? When you see something that you might call sexy, I will give some specific examples too. So often, I'm going to preface this by saying, so often people think we're talking specifically about sex. And that is not what sexy is. So if you think about when someone calls, oh, that car is sexy, or hell, even if you see one of these typical commercials on TV where there's like some little girl, just like, or not little girl, but fitting the stereotypes of what beauty is, according to whatever industry, and maybe this woman's like eating a cheeseburger, and maybe there's like a little from her face.
Right.
Who knows, right? Even in the most stereotypical, ostentatious presentation of this concept of sexy, it's not about sex. What's actually happening here is that there is an energy, right? There is an energy that maybe people have been taught to associate that with sex. The energy itself is an energy that is alive, an energy that is enlivened, an energy that carries a certain life force in a way that is pleasing. Why is it pleasing? Because it is our nature to be connected to this life force energy, because it exists inside of all of us. And accessing this life force energy, some people, cultures call it chi or prana. The reason I don't like when the English version people say life force is that force, as we know, can often be used as power over something.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? And this is about a vitality.
Yeah, that's the exact word I was thinking, vitality.
Yeah. And so when we can access this energy, our unique energetic imprint of vitality, and we learn to harness this energy and to be in a relationship with it where it's safe, where you feel safe with it, because it's powerful, right? This is a source of power within you. So you learn to be in relationship with it. You learn to harness it. You learn to direct and command that energy and channel it into different things, right? Maybe for sex, whatever, but maybe also for how you show yourself love and you witness yourself when an old memory comes up, or you feel disappointed about something in your day. Maybe how you channel it into your work when you're getting something done, or you're showing up in your leadership in a new way, or if you're a business owner and you're getting out there and you're making sales and you're really driving your message. Right. All of these different contexts, there's this energy, this massive resource within us that can be accessed and harnessed. So that is what sexy means in this context.
Come on now. Did y'all hear that? Did you write it down? Because I'm writing it down. I mean, that's like just a paradigm shift right there. Life energy, life force, vitality, something appealing. And the image that kept coming to me as you were sharing that was going back to this imagery of the river. Like all of a sudden, I'm not like on the river, like riding, like I am the river. And like I can have the energy of the rapids. I can have the energy of a slow moving, canoe ride kind of journey. And that this type of sexy sound healing is a little bit like stirring the pot. Like I'm going to get in there, I'm going to stir the pot a little bit, and I'm going to figure out like what kind of energy am I wanting to generate and am I wanting to create. Whereas I think, oftentimes I've thought about sound healing more of like a releasing, like a giving something away, like a getting rid of something. And what I'm hearing and what you're saying is that it's an acquiring of something. It can be a calling in. Is that okay to say it that way? You want to change anything about that?
Absolutely. I mean, your perspective is what matters, right?
Does that sound right?
Say it that way. The way that I like to understand, talk about is that it's not either or, right? It's all of it.
It's all of it. Yeah.
And inside of Sexy Sound Healing, our platform, we have weekly channeled healings. And when I say channeled, it means that we're actually reading your energy field, and I'm channeling sound through my voice to specifically support releasing energetic stagnation and emotional blocks. And when we release, it's opening that space.
Okay.
Right? And so when we open that space, then it's like, okay, well,
what do I want to do with the space? Yeah. Maybe I want to go start a business. Maybe I want to have a relationship. Maybe I want to have great sex, whatever it is. Right. Yeah.
Maybe it's all of it.
All of it. Yeah.
So it's really the,
okay.
It's the both and it's also the connecting to and realizing that I love so much when you said, I am the river. That's the thing. When we talk about things that we desire and we act like it's outside of us, right? We're creating separation. When we open to the full spaciousness of our infinite being, infinite potential, access to infinite wisdom through our intuition, and it's big. It is. It can feel really big. And this is why we have #normalize the journey. Because it's incremental. But as you grow in this, you realize the thing that I think is outside of me that I want, I actually am that thing. And the distance shortens, which means that when you decide to use your voice, let's say, to call something in, it actually presents itself more quickly because you're more connected to it, because you recognize you are it. And so it's all of it. It's all of it. It's the releasing, it's the bringing in.
It's all of it. Yeah, I love that. Speaking of sound, beautiful. Oh my gosh. And the bells and the things. Well, y'all, I have had a retreat, years ago. You came and you did, a sound healing. And I loved just the layers of work that we did together there, through having people kind of drop in, but also having people move and having people vocalize. And I think, for those of us who've experienced sexual trauma, oftentimes that throat chakra, the voice does get very blocked and locked. And sometimes, just for me, one of the places that I started, kind of getting connected back to my own voice and hearing myself was, listening to sound healings and humming, and just letting a little bit of sound come through, not trying to find any words. Words are so fucking hard sometimes. Like, I don't have any words, but I can make a sound. Right? I can hum, I can moan, I can, release. And I just, I think that there are just so many ways in which you show up so loving, so supportive, so caring, and that your heart really is for people to just be badass and empowered, have vitality and energy. We see so much exhaustion, just absolute exhaustion in the world today. So, being able to tap into that, I think, is important too. Yeah.
And I love the thing that's available to us when we have our vitality and really when we're connected to the truth of our being. right? There's the energetic component of just feeling alive, but there's
Mm-hmm.
also this deep self-knowing. And the one thing that that I hear the most from, whether it's Sexy Sound Healing members, whether it's say at your retreats, at retreats with these
Yeah.
experiences, is this phrase of coming home to myself.
Yeah.
And when you come home to yourself, the ability to show up as you, to release old programming, to decolonize. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, my decolonization journey. That's a whole podcast episode. Anyway.
It's important though. It's a really important piece of the puzzle.
Yes, right. This disconnecting from things that aren't true for you, right? And so even as we talked about, and we mentioned that I'm trained as a linguist, renaming and redefining things for yourself. Just this morning, actually, after my meditation, I decided that work isn't going to be called work anymore. For me, it's going to be called delivery, which might not make any sense to anybody. And that's cool. I don't care.
That's all right. Doesn't
It's
matter.
me.
Yeah. It's your
For
journey.
me, it's so empowering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what's possible when we access this vitality, when we know ourselves and experience this liberation through alignment and through the embodiment of our liberation, our infinite being.
Yeah.
This is what moves me to do everything that I do, because I'm living it. And it's like, if everybody in this world were able to show up as themselves, connected to their unique offering and their unique gifts.
Yeah.
And if there were to be an understanding communally, collectively, that difference is important to honor those gifts and those ways of being, I can only imagine what innovation, what revelation, what kind of world we would be in. And I do want to be clear that we don't have to have people honor our gifts to honor them for ourselves.
Hell yeah.
I just desire so greatly to see this collective consciousness shifts. And I do believe that they're happening. And it takes just each of us deciding for ourselves, I am going to be me. I am going to connect to this. I am going to know who I am. I am going to be who I am.
Yeah.
And those are all different parts, probably big parts, right, of this journey.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So having, the things that support us in that exploration. And, I think there's something really wonderful and beautiful about collective sound healing. Like every time I've done that, even virtually, where I'm not in the same room with people, but you have this, like, we're all in this moment together going on that. There is this kind of energy that you feel of connection, and you drop out of all of your, like, your biases and your BS and your fears and your worries and your judgments and all of that. And you get to just have connection and then come into the space of seeing the beauty. I love what you said, the beauty of the people being different. Why would we all want to be the same? We don't want that. That's boring as fucking hell. And right. So when are we going to get it together that we can just love each other with our differences and let the world be what it is? But underneath all of that, let it be energy, let it be love. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I could talk to you for another 2 hours, but we must find a moment to say goodbye, which I hate. But again, I feel so blessed to have had you here. It is my bad that it's been not until season 10. I really wish I had you on way sooner.
Divine timing.
Right. There you go. And I just love you to bits. And do you have any, I know, look, y'all, there are going to be so many wonderful links in the show notes. Get LiSára's Sexy Sound Healing 5 Myths of Sound Healing at sexysoundhealing.com/5 myths. You can find her on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I will put all of those links there. But as we're wrapping up, is there just any final thought? You've said so many wonderful things, but are you just noticing any final words that you'd like to offer to our listeners today?
Yes. I think the thing that, yeah, this is what I want to say. You can hear all this, and we obviously went kind of granular and talked big picture, but I want to root this in some practicality. If you are somebody who has experienced sound healing and you know the types of things you like, or if you've never experienced any type of sound healing, or if you've experienced some sound healing, you're like, well, let me get into this sexy sound healing. Let me hear this gap that you're bridging that we've been talking about. I want to say this. It is all about your self-awareness and starting exactly where you are. So if you've never listened to anything that's considered, quote, sound healing, try it. You can literally Google it. You can listen to the example that we will share here. But consider, what is it that you like? What do you, what kind of sounds do you already enjoy? Is there a genre of music you enjoy? What types of healing do you know you want to experience that are connected to sound? And again, we have resources for this so you can understand. But for me, as a neurodivergent being with, I realized over the years, extreme sound sensitivity, it was really important for me when I first uncovered what sound healing was and got started with it. And particularly after I discovered my intuitive gift of vocal channeling, I realized that I didn't like, not only did I not like a lot of stuff, but the quality of some stuff just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so to know that you can be empowered in every part of your journey, you don't have to listen to something just because somebody said XYZ. So understanding what it is that you like, what it is that you want to hear, you know, what emotions you might experience a lot that you want to get better with loving yourself through or releasing. We have an entire emotional releases collection inside of Sexy Sound Healing. And, you know, just being able to have a space for yourself on demand where you can create a rage release, right?
Yes.
Something that like transforms your day, and instead of wrecking your day, can be a moment of like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I can keep, you know, say you have a busy day, or like you're a leader and you've got meetings or whatever, you can keep,
you got to move the energy. Yeah, that's what I hear so profoundly clearly in what you're saying there. I'm always telling my clients, feelings are energy. And I love this combination of what we've been talking about today, right? Like it is about feeling, getting connected into the feeling, and how can sound connect you there in ways that other things don't. And we want the feeling, the energy to move in and move out, and move in that fluidity. Man, we're just talking about it. And sometimes when we're trying to resist the feeling in the energy, what we need to actually do is lean into it, create the container, the safe container to be with the energy so that it can actually get out of your system. It's going to come back in later, by the way, y'all. You don't just get anger out and then done, you're done and poof, die. Never going to feel that again. But it's like, I'm in the anger, now I'm in the joy, now I'm in the upset, now I'm in the pissed off, now I'm in the content, now I'm in the whatever, now whatever. Yes. Thank you for being a guide, a mentor, a sister, a friend, somebody who I look up to and I adore and just love with every bit of me. And I really encourage you all listening, do not miss out on the opportunity to be mentored and guided by LiSára. And thank you for being here. This has been such a blast. That's such a good time.
I love you. You're the best.
Thanks. And you all listening, you're the fucking best too, because you're here and you're listening, and I appreciate that. As always, you can pop over to Rachel Grant Coaching and check out the resources there, subscribe to the podcast, and then come back next time because we have so much more to share. Be sure to stay tuned. Right after this, we're going to have a little excerpt, a little sexy sound healing for you. And then let us know how it goes. Reach out, tell us about your experience. And until next time, take good care of you.
Mwah. Welcome. You've arrived to your embodied pleasure meditation journey. This is an exploration, a journey, and enjoyment for your body, for your senses, and for your soul. You're invited to take a starting position, perhaps seated or lying down, or anywhere in between. However, the sounds of the music and healing frequencies might be moving you in this moment. There will be many opportunities to entice yourself through different guided movements and sensations in your body, starting with the breath as a foundation and a through line as you explore embodiment of various types. Everything is a suggestion. Please follow the guidance of your own body, including how it wants to move right now. In this time, there is nowhere else to be. There is no one to please. Nothing else to do. Only to experience yourself in your sensuality, in the joy of self-loving pleasure. Self-pleasing, self-devotion, self-exaltation. You're invited to breathe in through your nose, into your body, exhaling through the mouth, and to notice yourself breathing in more slowly and exhaling more slowly. As you slow your exhale even further, notice the feeling throughout your entire body as you fill it on the inhale with oxygen, with support, and the levity available as you exhale and release what's no longer needed from your body. As you continue this attention on your breath, you're invited to place a hand on an area of your body where you would like to send additional support such that you experience more pleasure in this journey. And as you place your hand on that area lovingly, noticing your inhale, sending that oxygen, that support, that breath to that place. There's is no rush here. Feeling this area of your body filling with love that you are sending yourself intentionally. Allowing your hand to be a guide for your breath. Place your hand in another area of your body that you would like to send more intentional love and support to. Allowing your breath to be guided and directed to this area. Filling it completely. With self-love, with pleasure, with the energy of full support from the space around you where the oxygen originated. As you continue sending love to this area, witnessing it, honoring it however it feels, without judgment. However it feels is perfect. There is no bad, there is no wrong. Love holds space for all things. Continuing with the breath. Allowing your attention and your hand to guide you to another area, part of your body, upon which you can focus and place more attention through the breath, filling it with this energy of love, support, pleasure, allowing this part to become an embodiment of an infusion of joy. Even if it's blending with some other emotions that might also be in that place. Knowing that there is no need to force the breath or force any part of the body, as it carries its own wisdom. And another part of you that also deserves this love. Go ahead and in place your attention, place your breath there. Noticing the feeling of expansion, noticing the lightness as your exhale releases heavy or pressure energy. Noticing the pleasure available in the slow